Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casually Addicted's view of Mortal Kombat X.
Here's Johnny.
Mortal Kombat X is the sequel to the rebooted Mortal Kombat game that came out in 2011, and fans of previous MK games will feel right at home here straight away. But it also does a brilliant job of not alienating the newer players. The base game itself comes with a total of 24 characters, each with 3 different variations which uniquely change the differing playstyles. The variations themselves will allow the use of different specials, additional weapons or new abilities, depending on which you pick. The fighting itself feels very similar to the previous games, but in a much more refined way. The variations give a somewhat false impression of the player having more control over their movesets, but this also leads to more experimentation on the character select screen. It's likely to take some time for you to finally settle on one character and one variation that become your go-to people. Story mode also makes a return and follows on from the cliffhanger ending of the last game, as Shinnok finally prepares his army to take over Earthrealm. The story itself starts off great, but falls away over time and is probably only half as long as MK9's at around 3 to 4 hours, but what is here is still fun, and it focuses heavily on the new characters, and is a nice introduction of sorts, but thankfully don't expect any excruciatingly hard fights like Shao Kahn in the previous game. Some of these fights are tough, don't get me wrong, but nowhere near as bad as that Shao Kahn one.
Smoke is dead. I am an Ninra.
But for those who aren't interested in story mode and just yearn to play the arcade towers that featured in previous games, those make a return as well, except in Mortal Kombat X, it adds an additional caveat to proceedings. Mortal Kombat X provides a thing called living towers. These are unique towers that will change over time, and you'll have different modifiers on the tower depending on which one you pick. Some towers will change daily, some towers will change hourly, and there's even premier towers which, at the minute, give you the chance to play as Goro, even if you haven't purchased him. Speaking of purchasing things, one of the negatives out of Mortal Kombat X, I have to say, is that you are bombarded with opportunities to buy. Straight from the main menu there's an icon for the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store, depending on your console of choice, and even the character select screen has Goro blanked out with the option to purchase him straight from the character select screen. You can even buy easy fatalities. Yep, that's right, you can spend money on just pressing 2 buttons to do a fatality instead of 4, 5 or 6. But if you don't like them, don't buy them.
Hold, Cassandra Cage.
Don't get your smock in a bunch.
You have your father's charm.
Naturally, Mortal Kombat X also comes with a robust online mode, and for the most part, it works perfectly. Personally, I haven't had any issues playing the PlayStation 4 version, but I know that some people playing on the PC version have had nothing but endless issues. So if you are purchasing on the PC, just be aware of that before you buy it.
Final round.
Online mode doesn't throw us anything new though, it's relatively the same as the previous game. Ranked player matches, player v player matches and King of the Hill all make a return. And if you eventually get good enough to start racking up win streaks online and giving all your friends fatalities, you could be playing Mortal Kombat X for hours upon hours, maybe even weeks and months to come. So the big question then, is Mortal Kombat X worth your time and more importantly, your money? Well, there is plenty of content here to keep you occupied, from story mode to online to test your luck against friends. There's loads to do here, so that's $60 or £40 if you live in the UK. There's enough content in here. As for spending the extra money on the Combat Pack, or more commonly known as the Season Pass for 4 extra characters, well, the maths doesn't really make sense, as it's roughly half the cost of the actual game. So essentially, you're paying half a game for 4 characters and a few costumes. That decision you'll have to make up for yourself personally.
Cassie wins. Fatality.
Despite its DLC controversies, there's no doubt that Mortal Kombat X is a fantastic game, and it's probably, no, definitely the best fighter on the new consoles. And with that in mind, we fully recommend that you buy Mortal Kombat X.
Admit it, that was cool.
Takeda wins.